Happy Wealth Wednesday. So excited to have you here, Kat, and to talk about shares and the amazing work you're doing to make investing relevant culturally for a next generation. I'd love to kick it off with just who you are, where you're from, and what you're up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So what am I up to? Where am I from? I'll start off with born and raised in Montreal, Canada, but I live in New York. I'm by Wall Street, and I always make a joke saying that I am rebranding FIDI to DeFi, really at the intersection. And it really, I would say, describe what it is that we're doing at Shares. So we're very much that intersection, and we believe that we need to bridge Web 2 and 3, so stocks, equities, crypto, DeFi projects, NFTs, et cetera, and really be able to bring culture to the world of Web 2 and also technological access for Web 3, just given how difficult it is to invest in that space.
Incredible. I can't wait to dive more into this because I think it's such an important thing. First, I'd love to know, what was your first ever investment? Do you remember what got you started or who got you started?
I do remember my first investment was the S&P 500. It's IVV. And it sounds really boring, but it's very special to me because I was raised very much to not invest in the stock market. My parents were like, don't do it, just save, and then buy real estate because my family's in real estate. And so for the longest time, I had saved up and I was going to actually buy a duplex in Montreal, but I was moving to New York. And so I was in this weird dilemma where I was like, do I spend all this money in this one opportunity where I can get a mortgage and I can actually like do that and use it as an investment, but then I'm not going to be very liquid and that's a problem because I'm paying incredible rent in New York. And I was very confused as to what to do. And I remember I sat in first class. I remember next to the CEO or the CFO of real estate, Morgan Stanley at the time. And I didn't know who he was, but I started talking to him about this dilemma of like my personal finance. Told him exactly how much I was making, what my rent was, the mortgage payments, what they were going to be in Canadian versus USD. And he was like, just save your money. Like, don't do it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, and he described the market at the time. I think it was like 2018 or something. And he was like, you need to wait for fear. And I was like, I have no idea what that means. Wait for fear. But okay, I guess he knows what he's doing. And I remember not getting the duplex, and I waited for fear. And when the pandemic happened, everybody was really scared. And I was like, I guess this is what I've been waiting for. And I was so scared, and I just like put all my money in the S&P, and it went really well because it skyrocketed from there. But that was a very long-winded way of saying the S&P 500.
I love this story though. It's so good. It's the context that you need to like imagine you sitting there in first class talking to a total stranger about your investment advice. It's perfect. And I think it's so relatable, right? I feel like we've all had those moments of like just kind of hilarity and fun in how we've got invested or how we got here, and that like even the people who are now like building the space all started somewhere. So thank you for sharing that story. And with that, like how and why did you get to building Shares? What got you into this space?
I think there's a couple of catalysts, but personally, it's always been about women. I think that there are a lot of people like me who have not been encouraged to invest. And actually a growing percentage, I think it's like 57% of retail investors in 2020 were people whose parents had never invested in the stock market. And I think whether you're a minority or you're a woman, like there are just a lot of differences in the way that we are explained how to invest. And I mean, I studied finance, and here I was at like, I think 25 making my first investment, which was really embarrassing at the time. But I have found solace in knowing that I'm not alone. And this is something that is really important. And not only is it in traditional finance, but we are seeing massive shifts in Web3 across NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and people like me want to be a part of that change, because we just no longer want to be siloed. And so I was seeing a lot of people like myself being excluded from conversations, and banks and tech companies will think, oh, maybe just women aren't interested in investing, and that's just not the case. It's more so how information is presented and designed for diversity, and that's often not taken into consideration.
Absolutely. I think you even shared some of your earlier insights about graphs and charts and even like leaderboards and how that, may work for one segment, but not for others. So it leads really well to this next question, which is what role do you feel you play in the wealth space and why is that important?
In many ways, I feel like I'm a dot connector, and our platform serves to be a dot connector, whether it's on the social side of making investing engaging. So we have a lot of features that connect to all of your different brokerages, as well as ETH wallets and even Coinbase, so exchanges. And I think we're not taking a point of view. Like, if you want to just invest in Web3, awesome, go and do that. Connect those wallets. If you want to invest in Web2 and you're comfortable with that, awesome. But I think having all of those opportunities connected in one platform to then also have your information presented to you in a better way, being able to have that community where you can see what your friends are investing in, and then finally, being able to transact and having those different platforms be connected all in one serves as a way for you to be exposed to opportunities that maybe you wouldn't be if you're just on one platform that is that is just for one kind of asset class. And so in many ways we're dot connectors, financially, technologically, and in a community driven way.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see this out in the world. What do you think has been the most exciting thing that you've learned in this process that you would want others to know?
Ooh, where do I start? I feel like every day I'm learning something. I think in many ways it's not been too much learning as much as confirming a lot of what I've known for some time, and just there's always a lot of noise in the market. And so as creators, founders, inventors, whatever you want to call me, it's being able to understand that there's a lot of noise, especially on Twitter or on social media, where sometimes you think that the world is going in one direction, but then when you actually speak to people and retail investors, you understand where the world actually is. And so I think my greatest takeaway is to just understand behaviors. And I do believe that we're not in a Web3 world yet. I think that is still far away. It's great to ride that wave and be in that space. But at the same time, when it comes to investing your money, that is a whole different conversation. And if you want to thrive in the economy, just being aware of Web 2.5 and a diverse portfolio is really important for you to position yourself.
I love that. Even the statement of Web 2.5, right? Being on the path to the transition, but realizing that like it's a technology and it's early, and to not put all your eggs in that one basket. It's a really great piece of advice. Is there a person or a company that's inspiring you in the space that we should check out and follow, and why?
Oh, there are so many. I'm gonna give a shout out to Clutch Wallet. I think Beck is amazing, and I I would say not only what she is, her point of view on the space, but also the way that she's been building in a community driven way and shares her knowledge so generously on TikTok, I think is great. And also, just as a founder, she's never been shy to reach out and say, hey, how can I help you? And she's just so generous. I'm not used to seeing that in the world of traditional finance, at least for myself and what I've built before, or working in corporate. Competitors aren't that nice. And if anything, it's like she always seeks to find ways to complement other technologies and find ways to say yes rather than no. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Becca's amazing. We've done an interview with her as well. And I feel like she really embodies that, community, not competition, which could really be some of the fundamental principles of more of a Web3 world. So yeah. Shout out. And so, okay, would you give any advice to someone getting started? What would it be?
I think it's just to do it. And that's with anything. I've always told myself that. And I think there's like even interviews of me talking about that when I was like 15 and I was working in television, where I'm like, just do it, just live your dream, like go audition, just like go for it. But when it comes to investing, I think women, at least I don't want to speak for all women, but at least myself, like I've always been so afraid. And even today, like I'll think about buying an NFT and go through all the pros and cons and be like, no, I can't do it because of this, or I can't do it because of that. And it's like, rather than thinking about no, think about yes and. Yes, I will do this because of this. And if it doesn't work out, like here are the reasons for why I won't. Oh, here are like the different contingency plans. But I think having two male co-founders has been really helpful from an investing side to just like see the way that they interact with money. Like I think I recorded one of them for TikTok where he bought a pool suite NFT in like a minute and 27 seconds. And I'm like, I would never do that. So my advice is just like, try, go for it, and do it in a way that feels comfortable, but at least just try.
I love that advice so much. And especially this concept of fear. I'm curious from your experience, like now spending a lot of time with your audience, your users, your core person that you're trying to serve. What do you feel like is that core of the fear that, and any advice on how to kind of work through that to try? Because it's hard. That first step can be really tough.
Yeah, I think it's better to understand when you're not fearful and when you're in the zone of genius. So I'm not fearful when it comes to my career, and I'm not fearful when it comes to making like big moves. Like I've moved to different countries, and I've always done it in a very controlled way. But at the same time, I've never been fearful of asking, negotiating, and just going for what I want. And I'm very competitive in that way. And it's sometimes I feel like, I don't know, it comes from like an alpha. Sometimes I just feel like there's like a lot of like alpha in me. But then there's like the artistic side of like creation, like what really motivates me. And it's just the ability to create. So when it comes to money, instead of having a fear-based approach, thinking about abundance and being like, hey, I deserve this, I want this, I can have this, it's okay, is helpful while still having your plan. Like obviously you're not going to go and buy a yacht and then be like, I vision boarded it. But working towards your mentality and how you think about abundance, it has helped me a lot.
I love that so much. Just even some of that reframing and reinforcing, like I deserve this, or I can make this part of my life and I belong here. That's massive. Well, I have loved this so much. Thank you for being an amazing founder in the space and sharing. How can we follow your story of Cheres and then just even you personally as you go on to building?
Yeah, I would love for you guys to sign up to the newsletter of Cheres. So it's myshares.com, and you get a weekly newsletter where we break down finance in hilarious ways, Web 2 and Web 3. We also feature incredible other companies building in the space like Eve Wealth. So that's a great place to start. And you also get invited to our in real life as well as virtual events where some of them are just hanging out with other retail investors. And you can also meet other domain experts as well as educational programs so that we can just get better together and help each other out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I can't wait to follow along, and we'll definitely be following your newsletter and your Twitter as well. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.